Alright, so this is the Outsiders reading assignment. So, first question. Alright, so the differences between the book and the movie is that in the movie, there is no mention of Sandy, which is Soda Pop's girlfriend. But in the book, it's mentioned a few times. Also, Soda Pop says he owned a horse named Mickey Mouse. But in the movie, there is no evidence that he actually owned this horse. Another difference is that in the book, it took place in the Southwest with the East Side versus the West Side. But in the movie, it took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the North Side versus the South Side. It's a big difference. And I felt like the movie was actually a summarized version of the book, since the movie had a time limit of an hour and 30 minutes, or just 90 minutes. So they had to cut down on some things like emotion and all that stuff. A similarity is that Dali and Johnny die in the end, and that there is a social class problem between the greasers and the socias as the main theme. And that all of the gang is included in the movie, just like in the book, with like Ponyboy and Johnny and Soda Pop and Dali and Steve and Two-Bit and Derry. So, second question. So Francis Ford Coppola, I think that's how you say it. He was the director and he used many different media elements. So at the beginning of the movie, when the title is slowly sliding across the screen, the greasers are shown behind a fence, just like as kids behind a fence. But no, yeah. That highlighted their title as Outsiders, because they're outside of the gate. At the beginning of the movie, when Ponyboy says, when I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, it shows him opening the door to a glaring light. And when the soldiers were drowning Ponyboy in the fountain, the shot of him was taken underwater instead of above. This made me feel like I was sort of drowning as well with him, the way the shot was taken. There were also some really good and important sound effects, such as the sound of the wood burning and cracking when the church was collapsing. Without the wood snapping sound, then there wouldn't have been such an emphasis on the time limit for the collapse of the church. And finally, it was raining in the Rumble, and a lot of the shots were taken from like chest level, except when Ponyboy was getting kicked, that was closer to the ground. Instead of keeping it at the height, they brought it down a little bit, and the rain made it more complicated and contributed as another struggle to the fight. Alright, so now we're on the third question, and I think that if I were to create a sequel for the movie, it would be about Ponyboy graduating from college with fantastic grades. And then he manages to get a job at the bank on the social side of town. But one day, the money goes missing in the bank, and everyone believes that Ponyboy stole it, since he used to be a greaser. And greasers just, did that. So then, the gang will come to rescue Pony, and at the same time, learn the advantages to living this rich life and the disadvantages. So for example, you always get what you want when you're a soc, just like Bob did. Unlike greasers that have to work for everything. And that may be a good thing that you get what you want. But socials have many social classes inside. And unlike greasers who stick together, Ponyboy already knows that any soc will put their social status before anything. So, second part. I would include everyone that's alive by the end of the first movie to be in the sequel. Just everyone except Derry and Johnny. But I would really want Steve and 2-Bit to be involved more frequently in it, since they're barely included in it. You only really see 2-Bit when he's at the drive-in movie theater and when he's eating cake at Derry's house. Alright, third part. What new characters might you introduce? So I would add some of the Shepherd gang, since they weren't mentioned at all, only at the Rumble. However, they seem to interact with Ponyboy and the others, and they have a really long history together. I would also add some more socials that the greasers interact with. So such as Sherry's friends. Because they're also socials, but you only hear from male socials, other than Sherry, but she's only one girl. So maybe the female socials will have a different view of the distinct division between their close social classes. I would set my sequel to change focus from the greaser side of town, and instead I would show it from the social side of town to give another perspective. This would shine light on the other side of town, and then it could act as a comparison between the greaser side and the social side. It would be extremely beneficial for the greasers to understand why the socials also experience rough times, since they think the socials are the lucky ones with all the breaks. But the socials do probably experience their own pressures, such as living up to their parents' expectations, good grades, getting into college, and getting the type of job that would make their parents proud. Because of the setting, this may affect the friendship of the gang, since they wouldn't want to interact with any soc. But I believe that because they're so close together, it wouldn't matter where any of them lived. Last part. Let's do this. I would set my sequel in the year 1975. Since by then, Ponyboy would have graduated from college, and by then he would have a job. I did the math, counted some years and stuff. By 1975, he should have a stable and well-paid job, so he would be able to live on the social side of town. If it was set earlier, then he wouldn't have been able to got a job like that, since he would still be in college. That's it.